That was Rat with Round and Round. Welcome to the Rise Weekly Review for March 22nd through March 29th, 2021. Before we begin this week in review, Eastside residents are looking for help in identifying a man involved in a robbery that left a man injured on Monday the 29th. According to reports, a Latino man driving a dark, possibly maroon, 1998 Buick LeSabre attempted to rob some Ryobi tools from a man's truck on 110th and Avenue F in the early morning hours. The man confronted the robber, who hit the gas and sped away as the man held onto his shirt. The man was dragged for several houses before the robbers slammed him into a parked vehicle. Anyone with information on this or other Chicago crimes is asked to contact 311 or leave a tip at cpdtip.com. In other news, on Thursday, an argument between two men in South Shore ended with both dead. According to police, an argument broke out between an 18-year-old and a 24-year-old around 3:20 a.m. on the 7600 block of South Kingston. Both men reportedly fired shots at each other. The 18-year-old was identified as Jawan Brown from Austin. He passed at the University of Chicago Medical Center from wounds to the face and abdomen. The 24-year-old was identified as Vincent Jones, and he passed away at the scene from shots to the chest, shoulder, and leg. A man recovered floating in the water near a pier by the beach in Kell Park on the east side has died. The Chicago Police Marine Unit had responded to a call about a body in the water near the 9800 block of Avenue G around 1 p.m. Early news reports described the body being found by a Chicago River pier, with others claiming the body was found at Kell. Later news reports clarified the man was found in critical condition near the southern pier by the beach and field house. The man was taken to Trinity Hospital where he passed away. The man was identified as Gerald Pindeck of Gresham. The cause of death has not yet been reported, and the Cook County Medical Examiner's Office has an autopsy pending. On Friday, a man was wounded in a shooting on the border of South Chicago and South Shore. The 32-year-old man was on the 7900 block of Essex around 12:56 p.m. when someone reportedly began opening fire. He was taken to the University of Chicago Medical Center with a gunshot wound to the leg. He was last reported in good condition. Monday, a man was charged after a shooting left him wounded in South Erie. According to reports, the 25-year-old man and an unidentified number of other people were sitting in a parked car around the 2500 block of East 109th Street. Around 10 p.m., two people walked up to them and began firing shots. The man was struck in the face and grazed in the neck. He reportedly pulled out a gun and returned fire, but did not strike anyone. He was taken to the University of Chicago in fair condition. However, following the incident, police found the man's gun near the scene and decided to arrest and charge him. According to reports, the man did not have a valid FOID card or concealed carry license. A Calumet City man is facing attempted murder charges after what police report as a shootout with an officer. 28-year-old Alvin Burridge was charged over the weekend after an incident on Thursday during a traffic stop. According to reports, Burridge was pulled over around 5 p.m. on the 500 block of Jeffrey Avenue. Police report that Burridge allegedly stepped out of the vehicle and pointed a gun at the officer. The officer fired at Burridge, striking him. Burridge began running and shot at the officer multiple times before entering his vehicle and driving away. Police found Burridge at St. Catherine's Hospital in East Chicago and arrested him. He was later taken to a trauma center in critical condition. The officer was not reported injured. In national news, various sources throughout the week have reported on the growth in U.S. vaccinations to record levels. According to the Centers for Disease Control, at least 15% of the U.S. population was now vaccinated. However, the welcome vaccination news also comes with dire warnings as many states and local officials begin reducing COVID restrictions and U.S. residents take fewer precautions.
And so I'm asking you to just hold on a little longer, to get vaccinated when you can, so that all of those people that we all love will still be here when this pandemic ends. The trajectory of the pandemic in the United States looks similar to many other countries in Europe, including Germany, Italy, and France. Looked like just a few weeks ago. And since that time, those countries have experienced a consistent and worrying spike in cases. We are not powerless. We can change this trajectory of the pandemic, but it will take all of us recommitting to following the public health prevention strategies consistently while we work to get the American public vaccinated.
Over the past week, Johns Hopkins University reported a 22% jump in COVID cases over the previous week. CDC directors have begun cautioning about the possibility of an additional surge occurring if care is not taken. This caution has been amplified as more infectious variants of COVID have begun spreading in the U.S., and new information has begun to emerge over the Trump administration's response to the virus. Recent interviews of Dr. Deborah Birx and Dr. Anthony Fauci, who worked on the Trump admin's response, gave further insight into the challenges faced. Among the challenges reported by them in a news media documentary were those brought by the former U.S. president himself, who often derailed protective measures, ignored scientists, and instituted his own policy ideas for COVID.
I mean, until the day I left, I'm convinced there were parallel data streams because
disinformation.
I saw the president presenting graphs that I never made. So I know that someone out there or someone inside was creating a parallel set of data and graphics that were shown to the president.
But I think the important point that she made that really is critical was the two opposing forces, because she was trying to get information into the president on a regular basis, but the president was getting information from other sources, friends on the outside who would call him up, or people who would have input into it.
When you have a pandemic where you're relying on every American to change their behavior, communication is absolutely key. And so every time a statement was made by a political leader that wasn't consistent with public health needs, that derailed our response. It is also why I went out on the road, because I wasn't censored on the road.
Birx, who retired from her position before the Biden transition, stated outright that most U.S. COVID deaths could have been prevented had the admin taken the recommended actions.
Well, I look at it this way. The first time we have an excuse, there were about 100,000 deaths that came from that original surge. All of the rest of them, in my mind, could have been mitigated or decreased substantially if we took the lessons we had learned from that moment. That's what bothers me every day.
According to Johns Hopkins University, over 550,000 people have died in the U.S. from COVID, for a rate of 1 in 600 U.S. residents. In other local news, during the week, the Chicago City Council began working on ordinances to curb the rapid gentrification experience in many areas near Chicago's new trails and riverfront parks. Riverfront developments and trails such as El Paseo and the 606 have led to rising rent, taxes, and housing costs that have displaced many longtime residents. One of the ordinances the city passed would require developers looking to demolish existing buildings near the 606 trail to pay a $15,000 fee. Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot also introduced a plan to overhaul Chicago's main affordable housing ordinance. The changes would require housing developers to increase the number of affordable units set aside in their developments. However, the proposal still allows developers to pay a fee instead. Despite the city's attempt to curb gentrification, many criticize these attempts as too little too late, particularly as the city and many organizations supported these developments to begin with. The issue of developments like these are part of a national trend taking place throughout the U.S. being called green gentrification. In many parts of the country, protests about environmental justice concerns have been used by real estate developers to push area green spaces and other amenities to support wealthy housing developments. Despite the push on affordable housing, many still criticize the city's view of affordable housing. Affordable housing in Chicago is based on Chicago's Municipal Statistical Analysis Area. This causes a situation where even so-called affordable housing is well above rates that are affordable to local residents in many gentrifying communities. And finally, Howard Brown Health, in partnership with 10th Ward Alderwoman Susan Sadlowski-Garza, 7th Ward Alderman Greg Mitchell, and the City of Chicago have opened up a COVID vaccination site in Trumbull Park, located at 2400 East 105th Street. The site is offering first dose appointments Thursday and Saturdays through April 9th for residents of Calumet Heights, Jeffrey Manor, South Deering, Trumbull Park, and Vets Park. No ID or health insurance are required for the vaccine. Appointments can be scheduled by calling 1-800-269-3600 or by visiting the website rebrand.ly/South Deering. And that ends our weekly review for March 22nd through March 29, 2021. Thank you for joining us for this week in review. Peace.
We had enough.